Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ambassadors for Christ. We're here tonight to discuss one of topics that is near and dear to my heart: the future of Israel. And I hope you can see the screen. I'm sharing it, um, but I would have to check it out later. So we go ahead and do the talk and analyze it later. All right. So I wrote to a few brothers about Israel's future. They seem to think that the church has taken over and replaced Israel. They One seemed to think that Israel um, was is not replaced because it never was, in the sense that a lot of Christians believe it. So I want to go through some scriptures. I want you to let me know if I'm wrong. Am I right? Are we both wrong? Um, just give me a little bit of guidance. So if you can see this, it says iron sharpens iron. And I'm going to go over some scripture that try to illustrate my point. And it's this speaks of a battle. It's a battle before the millennium. There's a battle after the millennium, coming to the close of the millennium. And I want to go on the final battle as it comes to the end of the end times for the flesh of nations. The Flesh will go into the millennium. We can go over that later, but right now I'm talking about the time before Christ sits on the throne and makes himself known. So jump right into it. Ezekiel 38:39, the prophecy about Gog and Magog. And you will find Gog before and after the millennium. And what I'm asking them, and they don't seem to want to answer it directly, is has this happened? Is it happened in the past that a lot of different church amillennialists, Presbyterians, different ones, there's nothing to look for. It all happened in the past. Is that true? It's stated here, but in your judgment, will it happen? And will it be against a nation of Jews, of Israelis? Because a lot of replacement theories, Jews are just whitewashed out. All right, just get into Ezekiel 38. It says the invasion by Gog. It begins with a message, God's message to Ezekiel, instructing him to prophesy against Gog. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. And what I did was trying to show these nations exist, because I feel that too many times they do spiritualize out the true nature that God is dealing with. God is a spirit. Yes. We are spirit. Yes. Some will say everything is spiritualized. But they missing the point, either deliberately or out of ignorance. What do you mean by spiritualize it? There's a fundamental fixture in the world where the scripture is going to take place, is going to happen. Or you spiritualize it as it's happening in heaven. Some are deceitful, some may be ignorant of that. I'm ignorant of many things. Some just don't have the full understanding. So this is not an attack. This is trying to bring light. If I'm wrong, show me. So we go over, because it's in Ezekiel, it's pretty detailed. Persia, Iran is going to be involved. Cush And put Libya, Cush, Egypt, or not Egypt, but the other nations. Instead of me guessing, let me go down here. Persia, modern day Iran. It Persia extended from present day Iraq, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijani, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Okay, consisted of the Parthians and the Sassanians. Saying that right? All right, biblical reference. Persia is mentioned in several books of the Bible, including Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. All right, the Persian king Cyrus the Great is noted for his decree allowing the Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. Ezra 1 through 4. So that's laying out some historical background for these prophecies, for these teachings, and what we have to look for in the future. So it has happened in the past. We have a pattern. God speaks it through a prophet. It come to pass whenever he wants it to. He already spoke it. We don't know the date nor the time most of the time, but he has spoken and he's carrying out. Now, Cush. Now, that's where I want to get it. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Sort of. Associated with the region south of Egypt, primarily modern day Sudan and Ethiopia and parts of Ethiopia. Okay. So they're spoken of to be in cahoots in a coalition with Gog and Magog. All right. Put Libya in North Africa. All right. So we getting the geographic locations, the people. I heard somebody say, well, the people in the Bible, are they the same people? He gave a location. He spoke to a people. He said Egyptians. Now, there have been Jews in the land of Israel for thousands of years. Even when they was kicked out after the Romans, there still was Jews there. So some questions, legitimate in a way, but to me, they go down a tributary that you can answer it yourself. All right. He spoke to him. Is he, what is he saying? Let's break it down. He's saying this people, the Egyptians. You say, well, they haven't been there. There's no real Egyptians in the last 2,000 years. You don't know that. You're assuming with your question. All right, let's go. In Isaiah 17, 1 through 14, Damascus is destroyed in one night. At this day and this time in 2024, Damascus is still there. So we know, hopefully, this is in the future. They have not addressed this. They will not address it because it goes against their basic understanding of what they want to believe. It appears. I could be wrong. I'm not here to judge. Damascus will cease to be a city and will become a heap of ruins. All right? Isaiah says it. I'm asking you, will this happen? Has this happened? You study history, and I bring it out in these notes. For 1,000 years or so, it has been a city, a continuous city. It's never been wiped out or abandoned. It's always been someone living there. All right. The attack on Israel, as the scripture says in its commentary here, is Gog's intention is to plunder and loot, attacking the land that has been restored from war and where the people have been gathered from many nations. Because part of it, you will see, the problem is they don't want to admit that Jews are in the land now are part of God's plan. They can't see that because these Jews aren't saved. So why would God put them back in the land? My thing is, why are you questioning God? They're in the land. We can say, okay, what does it mean? We don't have to worship the Jews. That's not God's plans. But we can watch them as God's timepiece and say, okay, when this starts to happen, because it's still things to come, and that's what they don't want to embrace. All right. So we know Damascus and that sort of thing. We know the attack on Israel by Gog, or does it happen? My question to you is, has this happened? Will this happen? Does this involve the nation of Israel? Do you care? Because you kind of get the point where, okay, they're going to believe what they're going to believe regardless of what scripture you bring. All right, God's fury and judgment. So when God can make God come down and attack Israel, God's anger will be aroused against Gog, and he will execute judgment through a great earthquake in Israel. All right, they're coming down, and on the mountains of Israel, all of a sudden, it's going to be something supernatural, it appears. All living things will feel the tremor. Mountains will be overturned, cliffs will crumble, and walls will fall. It says, God will call for a sword against Gog throughout his mountain, causing confusion among Gog's troops and leading them to turn their sword against one another. Has this happened? Will this happen? Does this involve the nation of Israel? Because again, if you don't recognize the nation of Israel as being a part of God's plan, what do you see those Jews over there are? What are they? What's their purpose? So you believe they have no purpose, they have no scripture, and that you are the seed of Abraham yourself, a Christian, a Gentile, and you have superseded them. Divine intervention. God will also bring pestilence, bloodshed, torrential rain, hailstones, fire, sulfur upon Gog and his troops. All right. It's going to be something out of this world, apparently. All right. Throughout this judgment, God will display his greatness and holiness, and many nations will know that he is the Lord. So it appears it's going to be something that Israel as a nation can't even do. All right. Has this happened? Will this happen? Does this involve the nation of Israel, those Jews? Is it? Have they been written off? Is it beyond anything that God will do for them anymore? All right, aftermath of the battle. The people of Israel, the Jews, will spend 7 years burning the weapons of the fallen invaders. They don't even address this when I bring it to them. Don't even get to it. Always going off in tributaries instead of, this is front and center. Has this happened? Will this happen? Does this involve the current nation of Israel? All right. For 7 months, the house of Israel will bury the bodies to cleanse the land. Has this happened? All right. Restoration and revelation. Through this event, God's glory will be revealed among the nation. All right. Russia and a great horde coming from the north to south, east and the west, coming at Israel, and all of a sudden God strikes them down. Now, of course, it's going to be, oh, Israel have a super weapon. Oh, that was the United States. That was this, that was that, But if it will be so real to the point where they cannot but deny God did it, that will be tremendous. Don't know if it is, but I'm just saying that will be tremendous. All right. The prophecy concludes that God's promise to restore the fortunes of Jacob. Now, you ask some of the ones that don't believe that Israel has a future, they consider themselves sons of Jacob. But I'm saying they're Jews, not Christians. And show mercy on the whole house of Israel, ensuring they dwelled in their land safely, free from threats and knowing God's presence. Divine sovereignty. The prophecy underscores God's control over historical events. God makes himself known to the world, protecting the Jews that the Gentiles say have no future. So again, has this happened? Will this happen? Does it involve the nation of Jews, Israel? But they're not saved. They're not filled with the Holy. They're not following Christ. As a nation, no. But do you know how many are following Christ? Again, it's an outside judgment, like Ezekiel, not Ezekiel, but Elijah say, hey, I'm the only one. God said, I got 7,000 that you don't know of. What is happening in Israel? You don't know. But this scripture says what is to come to pass, and you're denying it. Won't even look at it. All right. End times. Many interpretations see this prophecy as theological. I'll mess that word up. Pointing to events in the end time. All right. The book of Revelation, the final book of the New Testament. Go down to Feast of Tabernacle. This was enlightening for me. Revelation 9, verses 9 through 17, describes a great multitude holding palm branches. Okay, Feast of Tabernacle, going down. Passover, Revelation 5, 16 through 12, describes a lamb that was slain, alluring to the Passover. All right. It talks about during the millennium, get to it, where it appears they will have tents. They will be doing the traditional worship that the Jews did in the Old Testament. But you say, well, Christ is risen. Why do we need to sacrifice lambs? Why do we need to dwell in tents? Well, you know, and I know, salvation is by faith. So salvation did not come because of the works in the Old Testament. It does not come by works in the New. But they are called to do these symbolism as respect to whatever God want to call it. However God brings it out, I go by what the scripture says. He's saying he's going to do it. All right. It appears that people in a natural body, without a doubt, will enter the millennium. They will have children in the millennium. Isaiah 16:20. Never again will there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, or an old man who does not live out his years. The one who dies at 100 will be thought a mere child. The one who fails to reach 100 will be considered accursed. All right, I think that's King James. Let's go down here to the Amplified. No longer shall there be in it an infant who lives only a few days, or an old man who does not finish his days. For the youth who dies at the age of 100, and the one who dies, then the one who does not reach the age of 100 will be thought of as a curse. If you die before 100 years old, and it will be judgment in the land. Let's go to the BRG translation. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not fulfilled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. All right. Judgment at the end of the millennium. For those you know, Satan is loosed again. He tempts people. They rise up and they march against the holy city. And God rains down judgment and throws Satan into locks him up in hell, I guess. Have to get that scripture. But you see where I'm going. Things are coming that encompass Jews and Gentiles. In salvation, there's no male, no female, no black, no white. Salvation. However, in the flesh, God still have the tribes. Because, and I've said this before, if you take that scripture out of context, you have women preachers who use that scripture, say there's no male, no female. So any scripture says a woman shall not preach, they strip that scripture of its power and work around it by saying I'm not a female. It's ridiculous. Well, you're doing the same thing with the scripture by saying there's no Jew, there's no Gentile. All right, Isaiah 14:9. And the Lord will be king over all the earth. On that day, the Lord will be one and his name one. The prophecy anticipates a time when all people will acknowledge and worship the God of Israel. All right. I want to bring out here, and I'm going to end this early. This is just a trial run. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you like the video and you want more. Isaiah 11:11-12 talks about, in the day the Lord will reach out his hand a second time to reclaim the surviving remnant of his people from Assyria, from Lower Egypt, from Upper Egypt, from Cush, from Elam, from Babylonia, from Hamath, and from the isles of the Mediterranean. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exile of Israel. He will assemble the shattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Again, someone would say that, oh, that was during the Passover when Christ was here. That's not what he's saying. You have to read the whole thing. Too many people speak before reading. Read it first. Read the whole thing. Gather. Put it before you. Put it before you in prayer. I mess up. I have to go back and correct mistakes and correct things I've said and done. So I can't judge you, but I can say at this point in time, I believe you're reading that scripture wrong, or you're applying the wrong type of interpretation on it, and just let the scripture speak for itself. Amos 9:14-15. I will bring my people Israel, which is a tribe, not Christians, back from exile. They will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine. They will make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant Israel in their own land, never again to be uprooted from the land I have given them. Is he talking about the Gentiles? Or is he talking about the Jews? Will Gentiles be intermarried like Caleb or different ones? Could be. But the essence, but the majority will be the seed of Abraham. Well, you say, well, the seed of Abraham is anyone who believes in faith. That's spiritual salvation, not physical fulfillment of these prophecies. That's the way I separate it. All right. I'm going to stop here at Jeremiah 31, and hopefully we can get back together and talk over a little more. Give me your comments. There's things I haven't really gone into, so give me a chance before you jump all over me. Work with the stuff that I spoke about. There's many things that we have to get into. This is, I'm on page 5. This is 15 pages long, but I didn't want to make a long video. So let me know what you think. Help me out, and we'll see you again.